thank you very much, everyone, and for welcoming me here. And it's a great pleasure to be here to talk to you about Formula One and the lessons we can learn from Formula One. Well, I cut my teeth at Tyrrell. Tyrrell was a fantastic place to work. As I say, a team founded by its owner, run by the family for 30 years, based in the same place for 30 years, but a small and very reactive team of people. They'd been world champions in the early days of Formula One, but really had slipped from the top of Formula One, but still had a history of innovation, was still punching above its weight. And I was taken there by a very famous engineer, Dr. Harvey Postlethwaite, as his number two. And we had a very talented staff. We were a small, reactive organisation, and we punched above our weight. And one of the things we used to say at Tyrrell was very important to us, that actually we could have the same development list as Ferrari or McLaren. So if there was 100 things on your development list, we could have the same list, because thinking is free, innovation is free. What we had to do at Tyrrell, on a tenth of their budget, was prioritise, because we couldn't do the 100 things. We, to survive, had to prioritise and do very, very well the key things. So I moved on to Renault, and one of the reasons during this period I moved on is that I became seen as the man who could turn teams that weren't winning into winning teams. All of these teams, within 20 races, I made podium winners, and in Jordan's case, race winners. I'd made sure everyone was doing the right job and all the right people were in place, and Flavio made sure that they were, and that team without me could go and do the job. And that, as a manager, is a very important lesson that you must have. You mustn't be, it's the managers that want to control everything by controlling the flow of information that become the bottleneck in a company. And I've seen that many times in Formula One. When you talk about management and management strategy, you also talk about ownership for the staff. And what you had there, you had management who had a clear way of doing what they wanted to do, although they had no experience of doing it, but staff who had no belief in that plan. And I got caught in the middle of that, trying to provide the right direction for the staff underneath me while trying to modify what the management thought. And ultimately, I wasn't able to do it. And actually, Jarno Trulli, one of my drivers and a great friend of mine, said something just recently, and I've got the quote here and I'll let you read it. Now, it has to be said, very rarely would I trust a driver to make an eloquent statement about anything in engineering in Formula One. But Jarno here says some things that are very relevant. And if you look at the last paragraph, Toyota's target was to succeed by imposing their culture, and that's what killed it. You know, ultimately they wanted to do F1 the Japanese way, and in the end they failed. Now, Toyota have been tremendously successful in what they do. They're the world's you can't criticise them. But there has to be a relevance for every project. And here the management failed. But crucially, and for me the crucial point, is that the management were using the Toyota way to not make any decisions. And if you never make a decision, you never make a mistake. So why does it keep going wrong in Formula One? Well, it's very, very simple. Formula One's a big money business. And like Premier League soccer or anything, the teams that are losing just go and poach the opposition. They just go and poach the engineers, and those teams break up. So when you have your team, the line I put there, protect and invest your staff. When you've built that team up, when you've got them taking ownership of the strategy, then protect and invest in them. Don't do what Eddie Jordan did or whatever and let them go. Manage them well, and they'll deliver you the race win.
First and foremost, for those who don't know, this guy is a legend in Formula One cycles, so I'm very, very emotional today talking to you.
Thank you very much.
It's absolutely rocking having you here, just superstar. I would like to ask you something regarding the drivers per se, right? So you've got 22 young men who are by far the best drivers in the world. what makes the difference? What is the mental attitude that makes a difference between the super champions and the one-off champions?
If you look at the grid normally, it's ordered cars by cars. So, you know, the driver can't make that much of a difference. As you say, they're all good. But the Fernando Alonso, from the first time he drove the car, clearly had it. He had that little bit extra. When he drove against Jarno Trulli, he's actually a little bit slower than Jarno. But every lap, the consistency. Bad drivers always find the first corner accident. Fernando Alonso, if you watched him over the last few years at Ferrari, always went past 4 or 5 people on the first lap and never made a mistake. And it's that ability to do it consistently that makes the really good ones stand out.